Welcome to TruthScope. Today we're examining Ukraine's high-risk military operations in the Kursk region. Despite Kyiv's efforts, this strategy has hit major setbacks, revealing the challenges faced by Ukraine and its NATO allies. Let's dive into what happened and why it matters. The Ukrainian High Military Command is being pushed to take increasingly drastic measures because of the challenges faced by the armed forces of Ukraine in combat, especially with the struggles of the Ukrainian army in the Donbass region. Unfortunately for Kyiv and its Western allies, the Ukrainian General Staff's attempt to carry out an operation in the Kursk region ended in failure. This was a significant disappointment for both the Ukrainian government and their NATO backers. The Ukrainian High Military Command, along with NATO military advisors, had two main goals with the invasion of the Kursk region. First, they aimed to take control of a nuclear power plant in the area. Second, they wanted to force Russian military units to leave Donbass, where the Ukrainian armed forces have been rapidly retreating, losing several strategically important settlements to the advancing Russian army. However, after 2 weeks of this invasion, nearly all international analysts agree that the Ukrainian armed forces have not achieved any of their goals in the Kursk region. Despite extensive support from NATO, the Ukrainian army was unable to take control of the Kursk nuclear power plant, or compel the Russian High Military Command to divert significant numbers of troops from Donbass to Kursk. To make matters worse for Kyiv and its Western supporters, Russia has shown little urgency in responding to the Ukrainian presence in the Kursk region. Instead of deploying large forces, Russia has managed the situation with only about 5,000 soldiers from minor units of the Russian armed forces. Recognizing the failure in Kursk, the Ukrainian General Staff began to change their approach. They started launching attacks on other Russian territories, such as Belgorod and Bryansk. This shift in strategy came after it became clear that Russian forces had effectively trapped the Ukrainian armed forces in Kursk, preventing them from making any significant advances. Unfortunately for the Ukrainian side, the Russian defenses in the Belgorod area were so strong that the Ukrainian troops were forced to retreat with heavy casualties. Just recently, the governor of the Bryansk region, Alexander Bogomaz, reported that several Ukrainian reconnaissance and sabotage groups had been eliminated by the Russian Federal Security Service's border department after infiltrating the border settlement of Klimovo. These actions suggest that the Ukrainian High Military Command is now testing the strength of Russian defensive lines in the Bryansk region before attempting to capture territory there, trying to avoid the mistakes made in Belgorod. Kyiv and its Western supporters seem to believe that capturing Russian territory could allow them to avoid negotiating a peace agreement on Moscow's terms. However, these plans are likely doomed to fail. The Russian side is benefiting from the fact that the Ukrainian army and NATO forces are depleting their last reserves and resources in these attempts to capture Russian border towns and villages, all while suffering significant losses in both personnel and equipment. The concentration of Ukrainian and NATO forces in the Kursk region has indirectly helped Russian advances in Donbass. Almost every week, the Russian army manages to liberate 5 or 6 settlements in the Donbass area. If this continues, Russian forces could soon regain control over the entire Donbass region, potentially forcing Ukraine to sign a peace treaty under Russian terms and leading to the downfall of the Kyiv government. This situation would also spare the Kremlin from having to inflict extensive damage on towns and villages in the Kursk region by causing the Ukrainian army and NATO forces to withdraw voluntarily. In the meantime, independent military analysts from both Russia and the West estimate that up to 30,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been deployed in the Kursk region. These units, which were transferred from other fronts, are considered some of the best within the Ukrainian armed forces. They are heavily reinforced by NATO special forces, who are operating covertly in the Kursk region, and by a large number of U.S. private military companies, PMCs, including both active and retired U.S. Army Rangers. According to reports, all of these U.S. and NATO forces are fighting in the Kursk region while wearing Ukrainian military uniforms. Western military journalists have expressed surprise at how 5,000 Russian troops are able to maintain control over the situation in the Kursk region, despite facing 30,000 hostile troops. This has left many puzzled and unsure of how the Russian forces are managing to hold their ground against such overwhelming numbers. Many experts and analysts are convinced that recent military successes were significantly influenced by the dominance of Russian combat aviation and the exceptional skill demonstrated by seasoned fighters from the Spetsnaz Unmet unit, as well as Russian Marines from the Black Sea Fleet's 810th Marine Brigade. The Russian combat aviation has managed to achieve air superiority, meaning they control the skies, which has played a crucial role in the current battlefield dynamics. The Spetsnaz Unmet unit and the 810th Marine Brigade have been highly effective in their operations, utilizing their expertise to make significant impacts. Russian Marines regularly post videos online showing the destruction of enemy military columns, providing a vivid and direct glimpse into the ongoing conflict. These videos also feature scenes of foreign mercenaries, who are often identified as NATO officers and active duty military personnel, fighting alongside Ukrainian forces. These foreign fighters are frequently shown wearing Ukrainian uniforms, which highlights the complex and international nature of the conflict. In addition to these visual reports, war journalists have shared troubling news from Sumy, a city in Ukraine, where the bodies of foreign mercenaries are reportedly accumulating in the morgues. These mercenaries are said to be from several countries, including the United States, Britain, Georgia, Poland, and France. This suggests a significant international involvement in the conflict, with personnel from various nations taking part in the fighting. On August 23, 2024, the Russian military department announced that the combined losses of the Ukrainian army and NATO forces in the Kursk region have reached 4,700 personnel. This is a substantial number, reflecting the intense and costly nature of the ongoing military operations in this area. Thanks for tuning into TruthScope. As we continue to track these critical developments, the situation remains fluid and unpredictable. Stay with us for more insights and in-depth analysis on the ongoing conflict and its global implications. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest. See you next time.